Hey there everybody, and welcome to episode number 2 of Project C.A.R. In this particular episode we're going to be looking at stripping the interior. We're going to make a start at that, and we'll be doing that by removing the front 2 seats and possibly the steering wheel in order to create a bit of space in the car before we start working on the rest. So for that we're going to go have a look what tools we need and how many bolts each seat is being held down with and how we're going to remove them. So let's get started. Alright then, so in order to remove the seats we'll be using a ratchet today with a possible extension, see if that's required, and a socket size number 10. There we go, number 10. So what do we need to do? The seat is held down by 4 bolts, and there is 2 at the back of each rail, one on either side, one here, one at the other end. This one in particular is broken on mine, so the nut underneath is loose, so I'll show you how to remove that when that's the same case at yours. And then the seats are held by 2 further bolts at the front of the rail. There's one back here and then one close over here. So let's get this set up. And we'll start with the one back here. Make sure it's loose, obviously. Right, time to get the other 2 at the back end. Okay, so what we've done is we've pushed the seat forward as far as we can, so that we've exposed the 2 bolts here at the back. As the same as before, we're going to undo them with the 10mm socket. And there we go, and that should now be a loose seat. Yep, that is definitely loose. Like I said, they're really heavy, so we'll remove them in a second. We'll first start doing the other one. I'll show you how to remove the nut and the bolt, even though the nut is no longer welded shut. So let's move over to the other side and we'll have a look at that. Right, so as you can see, I've used a knife to remove part of the fabrics previously, so that I can get to the nut behind it. And it's pretty difficult to see really, but since we're going to remove this carpet anyway, I'll cut it open a little bit further. And we're a little bit short on space, but if I hold it like this, hopefully we can see what's behind it. You can see the rail, and the bolt itself is actually inside of it, welded to the top end, so it's welded to this plate to the top. We can't get to it. So the idea is that we're going to wedge a flat screwdriver in between that stops the nut from rotating as we try to undo the bolt. So let's give that a shot. Alright, so we're going to wedge that one in. He says. And then with our ratchet, hopefully, yeah, there we go. So I can feel the nut trying to, you can probably see it as well, it's trying to push the screwdriver, but it's still holding it in place nicely. There we go. There we go, that's loose now. And no, it's actually still there. Surprised it hasn't fallen off. Right, we'll go do the other side. It will be a straightforward job. And this seat will be done as well. And number 4. So that means this seat is now loose as well. Time to remove them. Alright then, so now that we've removed all the nuts and bolts from these seats, it's time to actually get them out. Now like I said, they're really heavy. And just make sure you watch your back as you try to lift this out and don't do it in. The problem I have is that I've parked it in between the post and the lift, but parked them slightly out of sync, so I think I can only get them out through this door, so it's going to be an interesting one. So let's try. It might be a little bit of puzzling, but well, they've went in one way, so I'm sure they have to come out another. So let's get it going. And there we go, first seat removed. Now like I said, the problem is that I can't get that one through the other door. So unfortunately I'll have to put it this way and then lift it out. So bear with me. And there we go, 2 seats removed. So we're going to clear up in here, get all the nuts and bolts out. The ones that are still good we're going to put in our stock box, and the rest we're going to bin just to make sure we don't use anything old stuff. So let's clear up and then we'll see if we can move them up to the shelf up above. So what I've done is I've gone online and I've been looking for bags to store them in. Now a lot of these bags are really expensive, like the vacuum bags and whatnot. So I looked a bit further and I came across these bags that are actually designed to store and move mattresses in. So you know, your bed mattress. And they actually came at a fraction of the price. I mean, we're talking, I think they were like £5 each. Basically what they are is, we'll have a little look. So what we've got here is basically some really big sturdy bin liners, for lack of better terminology. Basically some big plastic bags. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the seats in these bags, seal them off properly, and then we're going to move them up to the shelf. So let's get going. There we go, one seat nicely wrapped up. Let's go do the other one. What we're going to do in order to seal this off is probably get a bit of duct tape, just wrap it around once or twice, and then it's ready to go up. So the idea is that with this wrapping up, they're going to stay nice and dry, dust free, hopefully stop mice from getting in, fingers crossed. Even though I'm not going to use these seats, I do want to keep them nice and protected. And I've tried to shape it as much as the seat by wrapping it up tightly and taping it off. With that, so that we can use the space to stack the other one on top and use minimal storage space up above. So let's go and do the other one now. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. We literally just ran out of tape. Let's see if we've got another roll. So unfortunately I ran out of tape, but we're going to use a little bit of string to do the same job. When you use a piece of rope you've cut it, to stop it from ravelling, just use a bit of, use a lighter or a match, and then try not to burn yourself in the process. Squeeze nicely together and you've got a nice secure unravelling end. Right, time to wrap this one up as well. There we go, number 2 all wrapped up. So I guess we've reached the point where we now have to actually lift them up and try and get them into the storage position. So let's go have a look. Alright then, so now it's time to remove the rear seats. Now these are not explained in the actual BMW manual at the moment, so we'll have to do this ourselves. So I've looked a bit online and I've found out that literally these seats are held in by a bracket, like a 90-degree bracket that's welded on the back frame, and then there's another 90-degree bracket on the seat that hook into each other. So apparently the trick is to lift the front and basically rotate it up. So let's give that a try. There we go, just climbing between the side frames. So gently move that forward as we push the top down to get underneath that bracket. Basically rotate it as we go. Let's see if we can find any mice behind here. And there we go. That should be free. And oh my god. Well, let's just say there's not much left of the seat. But that's the seat out, so I'll gently flip that forward, lift it out. And let's have a look. Well, definitely been eating. Not too bad. You want to be very careful when you do this, because there's a fiberglass seed mold, so they're not super sturdy. And as you can see, where I thought that there was actually another bracket on the seed itself, there's actually an opening in which it hooks. So it hooks underneath here, which is not a lot to hold it in place, but clearly enough. So now that this is free, let's have a look and see if we can get the other one out. Again, we'll gently lift it at the front, push at the top, and what will we find here, eh? Let's have a look. Oh my word. I think we found the nest. And there you go. That's what it looks like when mice live in your car for some time. Oh well, time to clear it up. I think we actually found a mouse. Yeah. Oh, he's dead, all right. Let's have a little look. Poor little mouse. Well, he didn't pay the rent, so can't feel that sorry for him. Alright, let's see what else we've got. That stinks. I need some fresh air. Right, so now that we've removed the seats, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to remove the speakers that are underneath the seats. I put those in probably about 15 years ago. So they're going to out so I don't damage those in case I want to reuse them. And I've got some good access to those now. So what I'm going to need for that is a Phillips screwdriver. I will just pop them out. So the next step is to remove the side pots which are screwed down by the looks of things, and the center unit, and then that's all clear, and then we'll move on with the next bit. And there you have it, the end to our very first episode where we actually did some work on the car. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and you will join me again for the next one, in which we will continue our work in taking out the rear seats by taking out the side panels and the center armrest, before we then move on by taking out the carpet, which hopefully will come out in one piece. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share them with as many people as you can think of. If you have any tips or tricks, recommendations, suggestions on how I can improve things, or how to use correct terminology, then please do let me know. I'd love to learn as much as I can during this project, and I'd love to hear your inputs. So hopefully you will enjoy me again in the next episode, and you've enjoyed this one, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.